The real season starts now. Labor Day Classic in Regina on tap. What's going on, everybody? Welcome inside Winnipeg's pregame show. This is Game Day Winnipeg. My name is Darrin Bauming, and looking towards the epic clash of prairie rivals, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers at 9-2, the 5-5 Saskatchewan Roughriders. Lots to get to on the show today. Thanks for joining us. Some of you driving out to Regina for the game, listening on the podcast, watch it on YouTube. Maybe you're watching live right now. Great to see Phyllis and Fritchie and Spency. Transair 737, good to see you. Go Blue indeed. Winnipeg Gordo, awesome to see everybody in the live chat. Hit that thumbs up because, well, frankly, you want to see this man. It's Chris Walby, the legend himself, joining us here on Winnipeg's pregame show. What's going on, Bluto? Where are you joining us from? It's looking sunny and warm where you are.
It is beautiful out at the lake. I'm just sitting here and going to get ready for a boat ride after this. But, hey, how do you turn down an opportunity to talk about what I consider one of the greatest games in the rivalries in the prairies, the Saskatchewan Roughriders against our Bombers? And, boy, I tell you, I don't think I'd be this excited about it, DB, except for the fact that Saskatchewan played so well against BC and beat BC. That was a bit of a shocker. Not many people thought they had a chance, but they're getting that Jake Dolegala, the third start of his career, second in a row of this season, had a pretty good game, but threw the ball quite effectively, ran the ball a couple times. So different little bit of an animal right there. So I think that offense, Saskatchewan needed a spark. They got it. That's what makes this game so much better now. And I listen, I played in that game for so many years, and I hated playing in Saskatchewan. It's always a tough place. The crowd is crazy. Just makes it a wonderful atmosphere.
No question. And you never know what's going to happen in these games either, right? Like Winnipeg, 7 games above 500 at 9-2. The Roughriders at 500 at 5-5, but they've been playing well as of late. We're going to get into the depth charts on both sides here. We'll look at the Roughriders, who's in and who's out, and who the impact players are and how things might shake out. We'll look at the Blue Bombers injured lists, have some updates on some of those guys that are on the 6-game injured list. Teadric Hansen, Janarian Grant, among others, Mike Miller as well, who's in and out. A surprising player out of the Blue Bombers lineup. We will get to that as well. We'll hear from head coach Mike O'Shea. Got a comment or two from him. I had some questions from him. I had some questions for him this week, and we will see that video a little bit later as well. And want to remind everybody, join us on the post-game show live after the Labor Day Classic, frankly, live after every game on Bonfire Sports. It's Game Day After Dark. Don't miss it. And also want to remind people, little Winnipeg Jets hockey coverage coming to Bonfire Sports. A little bit of NFL football coverage as we look at things on the state side here on Bonfire Sports. But right now, the task at hand is the Labor Day Classic. Chris, I want to start with you sharing some of those memories that you were just kind of touching on beyond the obvious atmosphere. When you were a member of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as a player for nearly 2 decades, and you go to Regina and it's game day and you step onto the field, what is the emotional feel for somebody who has been there a few times and knows what it's all about?
You know, it's interesting you asked me that, DB, because when I played, it was Taylor Field. Obviously now they're Mosaic Stadium. Taylor Field, the crowds were right on top of you. And I've never heard my mother called so many names. They just lambaste you with insults, and they're right there. It's almost like having somebody in an arena when they're right on the red line. So yeah, it's just special when you go there. Even if you're an opposing team like we were going into Regina, you just can't help but get excited. The crowd, I know it's a home crowd. They call it the 13th man out there. But even as a visiting player, it jacks you up. I always love playing in front of full houses. I always love playing in front of fans that really love the game. And I can honestly say the fan bases in Winnipeg and Saskatchewan have 2 of the best fan bases in the CFL. They had for years. And it just becomes an exciting thing. You walk in that field, you never know what's going to happen. We lost. I can remember sometimes I think we lost 52-0 or 52-3. And that was a long bus ride home. I tell you, we're eating leftover hamburgers that are all dried out. I took a couple home, used them for shingles. Yeah, not good, man.
Amazing. Chris, you know, so many people travel to these games, right? So of course you're
Yeah,
going to have that home atmosphere that you talked about, but it seems through the years, more and more people go to these games. More and more people get in the car and drive out to Regina to support the Blue Bombers. It's an atmosphere like really no other in the CFL. Maybe the Labor Day Classic at Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton with Argos fans taking the drive out, that sort of thing. But
yeah.
it's a little bit different here in the prairies, isn't it?
Yeah, you know what? I don't know if you can compare that. Listen, I've never played in the Hamilton Argo rivalry, or the Edmonton Calgary rivalry. But I will say this: I know that when you go to Regina, they try and keep the players protected as much as possible because there'd be people that what they'll do is they'll stop letting you ring the phones. So they'll go down the front desk, say no phone calls go into the players' room because that was a big trick. They'd phone you at 3 in the morning, they'd phone you at 4 in the morning, just to get you up and disrupt your sleeping pattern. Well, now they have a new thing where they just come and knock on your door and run. So it's just anything they can to disrupt your rhythm of your sleep, of your getting you ready for the game. And I'm sure we do the same thing, but I don't think anybody does it as effectively, and that was effective back then, because it gets you so dang angry that you can't lay down, and you can't you're already jacked up, ready to play the next day. Now it just gets you fired up. Now you're trying to relax your body to get back to sleep, and a lot of times you're just tossing and turning the rest of the night. So well done, Saskatchewan fans, but we're still going to bite you in the ass when we play you tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. It always is, whether you're at the game or whether you're just watching on TV.
Yeah,
How do you see this one shaking out, though? Let's get to the football, Chris. The Rough Riders coming off a huge win on the road in BC, a game, as you mentioned, nobody expected them to win. They now have a bye to rest and prepare, and they come into the Labor Day Classic. It's a home game. They're on a bit of an emotional high. They're playing good football,
yeah.
and they're rested. And now Jake Dolegala, their third string quarterback, he looked pretty good in relief of Mason Fine a few weeks ago, and then in his first start for the Rough Riders in BC and capturing a win.
Yeah, and I looked at the stats. I mean, he doesn't have much of a stat line right now in Dolegala, but Mason Fine, I looked, he had like 55 drives, offensive drives. He led them to like 6 touchdowns. Probably the worst ratio in the CFL. I like this Dolegala kid. I think that he's a big target, 6'7". There's a big
Huge.
quarterback. You know what I mean? He can see over the O line. He can see the field. He throws the ball effectively. He can run the football. I believe he ran 4 for 27 yards too at key points. You wouldn't think a guy that lanky could get out of the pocket, but he's still a danger now when he does that. So, yeah, I just think they're running an emotional high. But you said something that was interesting to me, and that was, you're talking about how Saskatchewan, they got the big, the bye week. Well, the Bombers had 10 days between games, so almost like a bye week. So they're healthy. They're getting guys back. I know there's a couple surprise roster moves we'll talk about. But when I'm looking at Saskatchewan, you have to remember something. I think their defense played as good a game as they ever have, and special teams as well, but defensively against BC. They got 5 sacks. They were all over Vernon Adams Jr. They got Pete Robertson. They got Lanier the second. They've got a great defense, and they got this kid. And I'm going to tell you, watch this kid, TJ Brunson. He was just a special teamer for Saskatchewan. Caused 2 fumbles. One led to a touchdown, and he's now getting that start at that. You call it dime back or strong side linebacker. They really like this kid. And as Dickinson says, the head coach, he goes, he's a thumper. And we needed some thump in our game. So I'm looking forward to watching this kid play, besides just special teams. See what he does, see what he brings to that team. I think he said it was like 1,000 days between when he played the last football game and last week. So, hey, wow. Good for the young man to get a chance to come back and maybe recreate or build up a CFL resume now.
A thumper could come in handy when you're trying to stop the league's leading rusher and the punishing way that Brady Oliveira has been carrying the football, Chris. It'll be interesting in my eyes to look at how Saskatchewan's defense adjusts and strategize. Like what is their game plan? How will they strategize against Winnipeg's offense when obviously, Zach Collaros is dangerous with his arm and all the weaponry around him. Rasheed Bailey, Nick Dembski, Kenny Lawler, and of course Dalton Schoen. But then the added that to the run game and Brady Oliveira. But the Rough Riders are very agile, and I don't mean physically. I mean in the way that they adjust their defense. I haven't seen a defensive line and front six in the CFL bring pressure in so many different ways than the Saskatchewan Roughriders have. You mentioned Lanier, Robertson, Micah Johnson. We all know what he can do. Here's Nick Daly, the former Blue Bombers draft pick, very athletic, long player. It's really something to watch. What do you see in Saskatchewan's defense? They're dangerous.
Oh, I like them. I think the leading tackler I think in the CFL right now is Larry Dean, who's had this is a guy that came back from a serious knee injury. He's having a career year, an MVP type of year. You got Teets, who was hurt last year a couple times. I like him at that weak side linebacker. Like I said, I already mentioned T.J. Bronson. I think he's going to be a stud at the dime back or weak or strong side. But look at their DBs. They've got great DBs. They've got Nick Marshall, who's got 3 interceptions. Deonto, Williams, Jeremy Clark. But you're right. The front seven is the powerhouse for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I mean, you got Miles Brown, you got Micah Johnson. He's maybe not putting up as many stats, but sometimes stats are for, he didn't really tell the whole story because he gets pressure. He takes 2 guys and allows the linebackers. And maybe one of the reasons Larry Dean right now has as many tackles as he does. So I just think that they're going to do whatever they can to get after Zach. They do not want Zach to get comfortable. So I fully anticipate, as you stated earlier, I fully anticipate that they're going to bring every kind of stunt and just try and rattle and hit him. Because if you know as well as I do, I mean, I watched last week, I mean, two interceptions for touchdowns going the other way. And then the second half, it's like a different Zach. He's pinpoint throws. I mean, he's got great receivers. He got time. You have to stay on him. You can't give him any life because if he gets comfortable back there, he's so smart. He's seen everything. He's never lost. I didn't even realize that when I looked at the stat. He's never lost a Labor Day game, and that's with Hamilton. That was Saskatchewan and Winnipeg. He's 6-0 in the Labor Day game, so that's not a bad stat to hang your hat on.
3-0 as a Tie-Cat, 1-0 as a Rough Rider, and 2-0 on Labor Day with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers is quarterback Zach Collaros. Chris, I'm sure you watched Bonfire midweek back on Wednesday and heard the comments from Zach Collaros when I asked him. First, he was asked by Jeff Hamilton in the Winnipeg Free Press about, the mistakes that he made. He's making some mistakes that I don't think are, they're definitely not from what we've seen from him over the last number of years. But, he's talking about still being mad, still being angry. If you missed that interview, go back and watch it on our YouTube channel, or you can find it in your podcast app as well. Pretty much towards, right at the beginning of Bonfire Midweek this past week. And I then asked Zach Collaros about Jason Shiver's defense and the different things that they do. But what are you seeing specifically in Zach Collaros in some of the mistakes that he has made? A couple pick sixes, obviously the play prior to him getting hurt in Edmonton a few weeks ago. It seems like he's playing a little bit out of character, almost trying to force too much.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head there. I think he's thrown 4 pick sixes in the last 5 games. Forcing situations that he normally would not try and force, trying to make something happen. Listen, this is a guy that in his career, he's always made things happen. He scrambles, he finds someone, he gets rid of the football, and usually it's a good result. The last little bit, he's had that, and he usually gets out, but they've gone the other way. I think it's a personal thing for him. Obviously when you're talking about a guy that's, MOP, and, he's having an MO type year, those little asterisks of throwing the pick sixes hurt you when the voters come back out. And I think that bothers him. Not to say he's trying to be the MOP, but when you're playing well, you want to play that well. You don't want to have a little, dip in your performance. And I think that's caused him some regret. But I think Coach O'Shea said one thing: he wipes it clean. He doesn't let him bother him. And we saw that last week in Montreal. Obviously, the defense really played well, but Obviously him to come back and throw 4 touchdown passes to basically smack the crap out of Montreal. You got to love a guy that can come back and be resilient after, say, 2 pick sixes early. There's a Bombers depth chart right there. Is pretty good. You're looking at that. They got a 1 change. Obviously, Birkinshaw coming in. The one surprise, I think you talked about this earlier, was the fact that Alden Darby is a healthy scratch. And I know Jesse Briggs is out. So, yeah, it's a couple changes there that are very surprising.
I do apologize. I had my mic muted there, but yeah, pulled up the Bombers depth chart. Just in speaking about Collaros, he has everything around him to be successful. And of course, that's stating the obvious for the 2-time reigning MOP, but you could argue that this year, adding Kenny Lawler, another year of Brady Oliveira experience, he's closing in on 1,000 yards at the midpoint of the season. He got 1,000 yards on his last carry of the 2022 season. So that's just how much better Brady Oliveira has been. And again, if you missed Bonfire midweek, I had a one-on-one conversation with the league's leading rusher. Go check that out on all of our Bonfire Sports channels. But for Collaros, shouldn't it just be the KISS, saying, keep it simple, stupid, and I'm not calling Zach Collaros stupid, of course, but his words. Collaros said, I did some stupid things, and then he's still pissed off and mad about them. I think against a defense in Saskatchewan that brings a lot of different pressures and different things, no doubt they'll have a game plan prepared for that. But just keep it simple. Run the ball, simple passes, and if you got to take a sack, take a sack. If you got to throw it away, throw it away. Don't try to do too much. Winnipeg is a superior team to Saskatchewan. I think in the Labor Day Classic, the team that makes the least amount of mistakes wins.
Well, I agree with that. That's a common, that's a common thought about every game, right? I mean, you can't turn the ball over and be successful. And the Bombers have been very lucky in the last couple of games of turning the ball over and still being resilient enough to come back and win the football game. But I'll say this, I do agree with you. I think that Shivers, the defensive coordinator from Saskatchewan, is going to throw a bunch of wrinkles in there. Listen, they've had 2 weeks. I mean, I know they're a week off and they get a bye and they get to enjoy their family, get away from football, just get away from that whole vibe and then come back and you're fresh, you're healthy, you're reinvigorated. Now they put a game plan together and it's totally been about, the Bombers and how do they attack. And Zach is the straw that stirs the drink. You know that as well as I do. But I agree with you. And that's an excellent point, DB. I think all you have to do is get rid of the football. Give it to your guys. When you have the talents they have in a receiver, when you have a running back that is just pounding a ball, as he likes to call it, bully ball, and then you got an offensive line that everybody thought, hell, look at how old these guys are, and they're just continue to play good. So, I mean, you don't have to do too much. And I agree with you. That KISS principle is a very, it's not the dumbest thing to say about this because really, when he has that much talent surrounding him, you don't have to be the firecracker. You don't have to be the guy that runs, takes off like Trey Ford or in Hamilton in his last game when Hamilton won again. That kid, not to go off topic here, how did that kid not start? That kid is a stud, man. I got to tell you right now, I was very impressed watching that kid play.
Yeah, Farhan Lalji and Dave Naylor at TSN have a piece up on their site about why he hasn't started, and it's not because he's Canadian, right? It's interesting to me that when Jarius Jackson took over play calling duties, suddenly there's Trey Ford and really playing well. The offense and the play design around his skill set is working for him. But that leads us into the West Division and the playoff picture, Chris.
Yeah.
Right? The playoff picture in the West is completely undetermined at this point. I think it's fair to say Winnipeg is in absolute control at the top. BC has lost 3 of their past 4 games, believe it or not. And, Winnipeg's won 5 straight. But then you have Saskatchewan at 5-5. And the Battle of Alberta upcoming here on Labor Day and the following week, 13 and 14 in the CFL schedule, where if Edmonton grabs one or both of those games, they'll have, Calgary in last place in the CFL. That, like, if they win this week in Calgary, they'll leapfrog them. If they can win both, that'll be a permanent thing moving forward. It's really, up to Saskatchewan right now to decide what team they are. Are they a 5-5 team, or are they a team that can beat the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in one of these two games, Labor Day Classic and the Banjo Bowl?
Well, I don't think they're even looking at the Banjo Bowl right now. They have to win. Listen, they have to win at home. This is a big game. It's a crucial game. It's a make or break game as far as I'm concerned. The fact is, if you're trying to beat the best or be a better team, you got to beat the best, and the Bombers are. If they win tomorrow, they clinch a playoff spot for the 7th consecutive year. They'll be 10-2. There's no weaknesses on this team. Mm-hmm. Unless they self-implode, I can't see how Bombers lose. They're just that good. But having said that, if you get a team that can control the football, keep the Bomber offense off the field, you've got a chance. But the defense has been, we talk so much about offense, but the defense, no touchdowns allowed, the last 3 games. They held, I think, Montreal to 17 yards in the second half last week. It was some ridiculous yardage. I mean, they're playing so well, and they get stronger as the game goes on. Show me where there's a chink in this armor. I don't see it. And obviously, it's interesting because you talked about it earlier. Alden Darby started the season at that strong side linebacker. Then he got relegated to a backup spot to Reddy Crandy. And and now he's not even on the lineup anymore. So, yeah, it's crazy. The Bomber, and that's where you realize that it's not a family lovey type game. It's a hard decision, but if you want to win football games, you put the best player there who's going to, give you the most out of what they can do. And I really do agree that sometimes these decisions may look tough, but the coaches are breaking down film. They're breaking down everything that goes on and saying, okay, watch this kid. What's this kid been doing? This guy looks like he's playing really well in practice. Let's get him an opportunity to come in now. And, unless he craps a bed, he's going to, keep that position right now. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they play. I thought Alden Darby, I remember, we first picked him up from Hamilton. I thought, what a great move by the Bombers to get this guy.
He was an all-star.
And then all of a sudden, it just seems like his play, or whatever they think his play, has dipped to the point where he's not even on the roster right now. He's he's healthy scratch. So, it's I don't want to use that old adage for the penthouse to the outhouse, but because he's not in the outhouse. But it's obviously it's got to be frustrating for the young man to was a starter and now he's not even on the lineup. So
we'll say from the penthouse to the townhouse, right? He has a comfortable
townhouse
spot.
There you go. I like that better too.
He ain't sleeping in the toilet, that's for sure. So there's Jamal
right,
Parker coming on to the Blue Bombers roster this week, where
that's the other guy.
Alden Darby used to be. The Blue Bombers defensive line. Well, really overall, the Bombers lineup isn't changing too much. They add Jamal Parker. They add Connor Burtonshaw at fullback. Him and Damian Jackson. Jackson, of course, the backup long snapper to Mike Benson. But overall, not a lot of changes. Just if I zoom out here so we can get a look at Rashid Bailey, Dalton Schoen, Kenny Lawler, Drew Wolotarski, who missed 1 day of practice this week, just needed a little bit of time to rest a bit of a foot ailment. Brady Oliveira, workhorse, from 33 to 20. From Oak Park to Oak Park, from West Winnipeg to West Winnipeg, and from the Blue Bombers backfield to the next guy in the Blue Bombers backfield. Very impressive to see Brady Oliveira playing at the level he is right now. Coming out, we mentioned Alden Darby, also Shane Gauthier, injured right now, has not practiced in a while. Here, I'll scroll down to the Blue Bombers injured list so we can take a good look at it here. Nobody on the one game. So Jared Beeksma looked to suffer a pretty serious leg injury in practice a few weeks ago. Malik Clements, along with Teadric Hansen. Clements, the linebacker, Hansen, the defensive end, both very good on special teams. They are very close to returning, could return as early as the Banjo Bowl. No update on Mike Miller. Probably will be a while yet. Huge hit to the Blue Bombers special teams, of course, which probably has been their weakest of the 3 phases this season, Chris. Desmond Lawrence, who started the season as the field side corner and started in the Grey Cup at corner as well, remains on the 6-game injured list. Celestin Haba is returning to practice and nearing a return off of the 6-game injured list as well. And then here is Janarian Grant, the player, no question, Chris, more people are asking about than any other. Janarian Grant at practice this week, running just a little bit, running some kind of half speed, quarter speed sprints. I know how fast Janarian Grant can be. And to say that he was sprinting in the end zone during practice is probably a bit of an overstatement, but just kind of in athletic gear running, not practicing, probably not close to a return to practice yet, but I don't think ruling him out for the season at this point is something that's a reality. What it would be potentially is a return to the Bombers lineup when they need him, and that's potentially the postseason or at least later in the season.
You know, he's that missing piece to me. It's funny, I was talking about finding a chink in the armor. That one missing piece, and I think Greg McCrae has done a good job, but I think he's not Janarian Grant. I think Janarian Grant has that ability every time he touches the ball to take it the other way. And you know what? We should probably talk about the fact that on the other side of the ball, the returner for Saskatchewan, Mario Alford, is no slouch either. He's got a couple touchdowns already returning, and he's very dangerous. And I'm just going to throw this in. You were talking about Oak Park. I'm wearing an Oak Park hat right now.
Yes, sir.
In honor.
The Pirates.
In honor of all the Oak Park boys. And my son Christian actually played for them when they won a championship too. So he's not in the same realm as Brady or Harris, but he did play on a winning team there. So
I apologize for interrupting. I have to correct myself. No disrespect. The Oak Park Raiders. I'm thinking Andrew Harris, Grant Park Pirates, and then went to Oak Park. Brady Oliveira, an Oak Park Raider as well. Nick Dembski, so many others. Pardon me. No hate coming from this St. James boy. But great hat. Where did you get that hat?
Actually, my son got it when he played. So I've had it there because we went and watched the championship at the stadium years ago when he won a championship with Oak Park. And David Black was coaching the team at the time, an ex-Bomber. They had Paul Bennett was helping out. So they had some great CFL players helping out, and then they just have a great thing. Stu was the head coach. I can't remember the last name right now, but just Stu Nixon. Thank you. My head just clicked in.
He coached with the Winnipeg Rifles as well.
Yeah, just a great coach, and they did such a great job, and it was so professional to watch. When you go to the States, I'll tell you one thing here. When I was in the States, and when I was playing at Dickinson State down in the corner of North Dakota, Montana area, and you go to their high school, and their high school has 7,000-8,000 fans coming to a game in high school. Mm-hmm. You know, they talk about Friday Night Football. It really is. The craziest thing is you go to their weight room, and back then the high school team was better. They had a better weight room than the Bombers did when I played. It was not even a comparison. So it's just crazy when you think about it. But that's like we said, we have little hockey skates hanging off our mirrors. They've got cleats. Football is their life. They breathe it. So yeah, it's really good to see.
No question. And apologies for the visual technical difficulties as I try to.
It was with the Wolfpack.
Yeah, well, you know what? I want to tell you about the Wolfpack, but can't at the moment. What I do want to do is show everybody a little bit of head coach Mike O'Shea earlier this week, ahead of the Bombers' Labor Day trip to Regina. Of course, it's the first of a back-to-back, so I asked the head coach about some of the strategy in that.
I love the game. Labor Day is a fantastic weekend for the entire CFL. But you'd hate to say that what we've done prior to that doesn't matter.
Is it fair to say like any strategy changes when you play the same team 2 weeks in a row? Preparation, the way you break down film afterwards, because it's all head-to-head in your film.
Yeah, I think we figured out whatever that was going to be. That system was going to be like 10 years ago, right? And we maybe changed a process or fine-tuned a process, but we've been sticking to the same sort of schedule and system for as long as I can remember, really. Because you have a short week after, but the same opponents, so you get a little bit of a breather. Plus having the extra days prior to this, I think it allows the coaches to plan a little bit ahead. Well, I don't think you certainly aren't thinking about the next game because you can't save anything for the next game. You got to spend it all on this one, right? So, and then see where you end up, try and get healthy for the next. But yeah, once again, their last film travels. Everybody sees it. Everybody understands how hard they played to get that win. And, we expect the same thing, full effort from them, right?
There's the head coach, Mike O'Shea. Winnipeg playing Saskatchewan in these back-to-back games. Pretty rare, I would say, in professional football to play the same team 2 weeks in a row. What goes into that strategy, Chris, in that, you're playing a team the first time, you're not thinking towards the second game, but in the big brains meeting, they are thinking about what they show in game one versus what they want to do in game two, right?
I'm kind of agreeing with you a little bit, but I also say this: you're trying to win the game. I'm not trying to worry about what I'm going to play second game. I want to win the game at hand right now, and then I'll worry about what worked and what didn't work the next game. But they talk about back and back getting tendencies, but they have tendencies on it. It's a 9-team league. People go and break down film. I got my grandkids here beside me. I apologize, but
no, it's all good. That's great.
Yeah. This is my Levi's birthday. 6.
Oh, 6 years old.
Yeah, can you see? Hey, see if you can say hi. There you are. Where are you? There. Can you get in there? Let's see if I can get you.
We'll get you in here.
You get him bigger?
Happy birthday.
There he is.
Let's see.
There you are. Yeah, there he is. There he is. Who's that? Look at you, buddy. All right. He's going to be a football commentator, too.
Is he?
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the show. Happy birthday.
He said happy birthday to you. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Anyway, he said he's going to give us a big thumbs up, so that's good.
Let's give the thumbs up. Can you give the thumbs up now?
Yeah, give him a thumbs up. Give a thumbs up. There you go. He's trying to get it in there.
That's awesome.
All right, we got to get back to football, you guys. So you guys go help Dad with the tent.
That's great. So give me 1 second here. I want to draw attention to something that's important here. Oh gosh. Give me a sec.
Oh God.
Just showing everybody, how it all works here.
Yeah.
On Bonfire Sports. Here we go. So this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to draw attention to this.
That's pretty cool.
The Winnipeg Wolfpack is a group of tackle football players in our community, age 16 and up. The Wolfpack welcome a diverse group of athletes who love the game, and they travel to play in different cities across Western Canada, as well as right here in Winnipeg. Experienced coaches promote growth and development in every player and work to grow women's football. The Wolfpack are currently recruiting athletes who want to be empowered, find new opportunities within football while playing games right here in Winnipeg. The Wolfpack looking forward to some upcoming travel for events both here in Canada and in the United States. Their next event just down the road in North Dakota, September 23rd. You can get more details, as you can see on your screen, info.wpgwolfpack@gmail.com. Once again, info.wpgwolfpack@gmail.com. Just an awesome thing. One of two women's teams here in the city, Chris. And for anybody age 16 and up that want to play tackle football, get in contact. You can find more that link and more information in the description of this video below. If you're in your podcast app, it should be in that as well. But just a great thing.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's great for football and as a whole. I think the fact that, it used to be such a sport dominated by men, and there's so many females and ladies out there that really can't play the game. And so to me, I just love it. I think it's great. I actually love their logo. The Wolfpack's a great logo. I love that, man. So I'm a wolf guy. I've actually got a wolf tattooed on my arm. So they already got a special link to my heart right now.
Well, it's great that we have so many female fans here in the Bonfire Sports community, right? In the live chat, so many. Bailey and Phyllis and Jets Girl are all in there right now. Great to see that. Jets Girl says, miss Grant. Yeah, a lot of people miss Janarian Grant. Getting him back will be a great thing. But shout out to the Winnipeg Wolfpack on supporting us here on Bonfire Sports. And of course, we support them as well. Just great to, tie these things in the football community.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, buddy. It's just, like I said, it's amazing. Like I said, not to be repetitive, but the fact is they're so knowledgeable now. It's just a universal game, and I love it. I love that people are getting an opportunity to play something they love, and in the earlier days, were not even thought of being able to play it. So, kudos for whoever's organizing this, and kudos to the Winnipeg Wolfpack. I wish you nothing but luck, brother.
No question. Let's talk a little bit about the Saskatchewan Roughriders offense, Chris, because Jake Dolegala is now at the controls, and he has weaponry around him. Jamal Morrow, we know how good he is at tailback. Frankie Hickson will be the designated American. He comes off the injured list and will back up Morrow. So to have that 1-2 punch that the Riders like to use on offense is a pretty impressive thing to see. Tevin Jones, Sean Bain Jr., big body there. Stearns is the guy who really popped off the page in their win against the BC Lions. Of course, Keenan Schaefer-Baker, and maybe their most dangerous player this year. Guy has had touchdowns galore, including 3 in one game. Samuel Emelis, who, is at this field side wide receiver spot, but he is really used like a feature receiver wherever he is on the field.
Yeah, they call him Superman. That's what they call him now. After he made that great catch in the game against BC, he went up there and snagged the ball when it looked like almost a perfect interception. Took it in for a touchdown. But I'll say this, and I'm a big fan of MLS, but the biggest crank or the biggest knock on the Saskatchewan Roughriders is their inability to run the football or going away from when they do run the football. And I know the fans have been crying, going, why is Frankie Hickson not getting the ball? I mean, they haven't dressed him. Then when they dress him, he gets 2 carries. This kid's explosive. Listen, I know you like Jamal Morrow, but you know what? 1-2, sprinkle them both in there. But if Saskatchewan's going to win the game, they're going to have to establish the run. They're number 8 in the league right now. They only average 80-something yards. So, I mean, they have to establish their run. If you're going to rely on Dolegala throwing the football the whole game, you're not going to win. They have to get that offensive line, and they have to get that running game going. And much like most teams in the CFL or any league, you have to be able to establish that line of scrimmage and run the football. It's a 2-part game.
But how will they do that against a Blue Bombers defense that has been outstanding as of late? No touchdowns allowed in each of their past 2 games. The defense, of course, that is. 9 quarters since the defense last allowed a major score. And, Saskatchewan hasn't exactly been a world beater with their offense. They do rely on the big play. Is that a little bit where the danger is? Where Winnipeg has shown weakness is the big explosion play, where Saskatchewan has shown strength is the big explosion play.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big factor. One thing I do like about Saskatchewan is they're going to try and stretch the football field. They're going to throw the ball deep on you. You can't go to sleep. They're not going to allow you to play everything in front of you. So the DBs are going to have to run with the receivers. Are going to have to go after them. But I still say that if you can't get Hickson and Morrow running the football, I don't care how many deep passes you throw, you're not going to win. So I think they have to. You know what? A lot of times I see teams doing it drives me nuts. They'll run the ball 3 times, and they maybe not get a whole lot of yards, and then they'll just go away from it. We got to change it. No, you don't. You keep pounding until you do break it. As an old lineman, I used to get so frustrated. We know we can get we're so close to breaking one, and not to have the ability to even keep trying to break it is frustrating because I don't want to sit. I want to be the hammer, not the nail. And when you're pass pro and all day, you know what? It makes life tough. Because you're not fooling them. Now you got a guy like Willie Jefferson, Jackson Jeffcoat coming off the edge. These tackles are going to have their work cut out for you. And I said this last week. I thought Montreal might do it. They didn't. I thought that Montreal might do a little double tight or at least one tight end to make that defensive end wider as far as giving a little bit more time for the quarterback to throw. But Fajardo just had trouble. I mean, he was under siege all night. And to your point, they're getting pushed from a guy that doesn't get a lot of recognition in Jake Thomas, the longest-serving bomber right now, who's 5 quarterback sacks, might be a season high for him. I didn't look at the stats, but he's really getting some good push up there. Him and Ricky Walker. Really happy for those two guys in the middle, because all you ever talk about when you talk about, well, think about this. Well, yeah, Cam Lawson's got 3 sacks. The defense, when you talk about the defense, you're talking about the big 3, right? It's Big Hill, Jackson, and Jefferson. So sometimes the little guys get lost in a wash, but they're just as important. And if you don't have tackles that take up space and occupy offensive linemen, Biggie is not going to make plays. Kyrie Wilson's not going to make plays. So, you know what? Stan Mikowas is one of my best buddies, and every linebacker that played behind Stan, and he was a nose tackle. We went a 3-4. He was getting double teamed all the time. But you think about the guys, James West, all these guys, Daryl Patterson, who coaches the Bombers now, Ty Jones, all these guys were, Hall of Famers because of the fact that of the unheralded work, unselfish work of the tackles inside on the defense. That's my rant for the day, baby.
Well, I want to ask you about the defensive line, because a lot of people have said, well, they're only dressing 6. Other teams dress 7, 8, even 9 defensive linemen. But they've been okay. I haven't seen an issue with that. Have you?
No. I think they've done a great job of staying healthy. That's the biggest thing. It's like if you look at the stats last week, I think Jefferson, I don't believe even registered. I think he had 2 pass knockdowns, but he didn't have a stat other than that. And sometimes that's misleading. You go, where was Jefferson? Well, the fact is he's still disrupting plays left and right. I just think the defense is playing very well. They're staying healthy. And knock on wood, that's the biggest thing, right? Because you just want to stay healthy. God forbid something happens to that rotation, and then, that's when all things start going. You figure out how you basically check your depth out, how good's your depth on your team. I think Cam Lawson showed that he can play in that tackle spot. Haven't seen a lot about Anthony Bennett, but I'm sure he's pretty excited, because I believe he is a Regina boy, if I'm not mistaken. So obviously, I think I read something that it feels so good because he used to watch him from the stands, and now he's on the lineup on the opposing team on the field. So good for him too. I think he's probably going to have a lot of people there, a lot of family and friends. So I just think, like I said, you know what? I'm actually calmer than I thought I'd be talking to you today, because I brought a TV out here. Well, I brought a TV out from my garage, and I'm running a cable, like 100 feet of cable, to hook it up to a receiver so I could, because I got all these people that want to come to watch the game tomorrow at the lake. Well, I can't put 20 people in my house. I just got a little cabin, so we're going to watch in the garage, and I'm just hoping it lives up to the hype, because I think it will. They're always tough games. I'm just excited for it.
Well, what about that beautiful little houseboat you got behind you there? Can't you get a little LTV out on the lake?
Yes, my little pontoon boat there. Yes, I love that thing, man.
The stories it could tell.
Oh yeah, it's a good thing they can't talk. But it's I'm just very fortunate, DB, that you let me do this from out here, because when you get weather like this, and it's September, it's like 2nd now. 34 degrees today. I got a little breeze up here in the front. It's just gorgeous. So I'm blessed to be able to do this with you from a lake and not from a house and in front of a computer where I'm just sweating. So it's nice, and thank you for that.
You can leave that to me. I'm at home in front of the computer, not sweating, but not yet anyway.
Yeah.
Let's get into your keys to the game. Chris Walby, the legend, the Hall of Famer, the multi-talented, 10 Grey Cups.
Well, let's not get too carried away.
On TV as well. Hey, when I get an opportunity to pump your tire, all I'm trying to do is get an invite to the pontoon boat. That's all I want.
Anytime, brother. Anytime.
Buttering.
It's a quick 40-minute drive, man. Okay. I always say to anybody, if you roll my cabin, just keep driving.
That's what I was thinking.
I'm just kidding. You can come anytime. But I'll tell you what, the keys for me, buddy, offensively, you got to do a better job protecting the football. You can't play, this game of throwing up pick sixes and expect to come back all the time. You got to protect Zach. I really do that. I think Jason Shivers is really going to come after him tomorrow. I think you want to keep him from getting hit as much as possible. And I love this. Continue to play bully ball with Brady. I love that. I think Brady Oliveira is going to get 1,000 yards tomorrow. Love the guy, not only what he does on a football field, I've talked about this a number of times, but the guy is such humanitarian, going and rescuing dogs and doing all this great stuff. just a tremendous individual. So that's for offense. Defense, hands up, baby, hands up. You know why? Because you got a big boy in Dolegala. Dolegala, you idiot.
You
that's me. I get excited. But he's 6'7", and this guy can run. But you got to get in his. You got to get in his eyesight. You can't let him get comfortable. The biggest thing I said, and I've talked about this earlier with you, DB, that Saskatchewan won't run or won't win if they can't run the football. But I say this: if we stuff the run and force Dolegala to throw the ball, we win. And the other thing is, this is a simple one, but it's not really. Put them in second and long. Saskatchewan is horrible. I think they're like right at the bottom of the league, number 8, as far as second down conversions. So if you put them in second down and long, you really got a great chance to get them off the football field. So that's the thing. And on special teams, I only want to say one thing. Better make sure you get a hold of that guy, Mario Alford, because that guy will break your back. Every time he touches the football, that guy's exciting to watch, and he can be he might be the X factor for Saskatchewan tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a great point. You know, with Mike Miller out, it really leans on some of those big special teams tackle contributors in Kerfala Exume, Nick Hallett, and Tanner Gaskill Cadwallader. Just too long of a name to put all of that on the back of his jersey. Want to remind everybody, post-game coverage live here on Bonfire Sports, Game Day After Dark. Don't miss that. And if you do miss it live, it's on your podcast app, and you can also listen to it and tons of other good Bonfire stuff on your drive home from Regina, or when you're cutting the grass Sunday night, when you realize, I want to go to the beach on Monday, or I want to, get some things done on Monday, and you're stressing to cut the grass before you go to bed on Sunday night after the Bomber game. Bonfire Sports is there for you.
And I have to tell you this, DB. I was at the Dynacare, one of the great places in Winnipeg. I had to go for some blood work. And I walked in, and they all wanted to talk football. And they go, "What are you doing?" So as soon as they were all writing it down, they go, what's the name of your podcast? I said, it's Bonfire Sports, opened by Darrin Bauming and myself. They were writing it down. Here they are trying to take people in to check them in to get blood. And they're all writing down Bonfire Sports. So amazing. I hope they're watching. I think it's great that the name is getting out there and people are excited to watch this. And, the viewers, and like you said, give a thumbs up. It's a great thing. I saw that we hit 50,000 uploads, which is phenomenal. So, you and Zach are doing a heck of a job.
No. Oh, no. You are doing a heck of a job, my friend.
I like to mess with you, man. You know that, buddy.
Yeah. Who else is doing a heck of a job is Brenda Borns. She is just outstanding. If you have an event or an idea, Brenda and her team will take care of it all, from marketing and promotion to sales and full-scale event production, everything in between. Get ready with Brenda Burns and Event Strategy Productions. We know what you're thinking. You can find her online, brendaburns.ca. Just an awesome person, has been helping us out here on Bonfire Sports a lot. Old friend of yours too, isn't she?
I've done a number of functions with her, some speaking engagements, and her nickname is Killer B. And that's what they call her, because when she wants to get something, she'll put a target on it and she'll get to it. So, yeah, she delivers. Whatever she says she's going to do, she does. A lot of respect for her. She may be smaller in stature, but her heart's taller than me. So she does a great job, man.
She's like a Chris Kolinkowski, right? It doesn't matter about the size. It's the technique.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know. She wants to be compared to Chris Kolinkowski.
Well, I think he's going to be an all-star this year.
I'll let you deal with her on that one. She's a lovely lady. Lovely lady.
And she's worked in CFL circles, represents...
Well, she's Gatorade. She represented Gatorade for a number of years. And her husband is one of the great guys, too. He'd always show up at golf tournaments with a little bit of my lovely brand of Captain's Appleton rum. So it's always nice to have a cold one with him as well. So, yeah, really glad to hear that Brenda's on board with us. I think it's going to be fantastic.
No doubt. No doubt about that. Last thought I'm going to share, Chris, is it stating the obvious that MO number 1 for Winnipeg is protecting the quarterback?
Yes.
If you talk about the Saskatchewan Roughriders, the leading thing is how hellacious their pass rush is. If you haven't watched any Rough Rider games outside of their games against Winnipeg this year, believe me when I tell you, it is unbelievable watching this group. They are after it every single snap. And with the way Collaros has been hit and the way Collaros has been maybe forced into making some uncharacteristic mistakes, I think that is first and foremost what needs to be accomplished by Winnipeg to find victory.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I look at Jefferson Jeffcoat, and then I look at their ends, Lanier the second, and obviously Pete Robinson. They both have 5 sacks. They get after the quarterback. They had their best game defensively against the BC Lions, which is a pretty good team. They ended up with 5 sacks, a couple forced fumbles. This defense, if you give them confidence and they start getting to you early, will make life a living nightmare. So, yeah, it's very, to your point, 100%. You got to protect Zach. Give him time to get rid of the ball in the pocket, make good decisions, and we should come out of it. I still think we're going to win. But I think it's tough. It's always tough in Saskatchewan. I want to predict a win, but man, I think there's some part of me is like, God, this Saskatchewan is just one of those teams that the way they played really impressed me last time. So if they didn't beat BC, I wouldn't even make a qualm about saying Bombers walk away with this one. But the fact they played so well against BC in BC made me maybe get a little bit more life in Saskatchewan, I thought.
Yeah. No, it raised some questions. The Labor Day Classic is always a bit of a crapshoot, right? The Rough Riders have taken 14 of the last 17 Labor Day Classics between the two teams. Winnipeg won in 2022, 2021, and 2016, leaving Mike O'Shea, as we mentioned earlier, 3-5 as the Blue Bombers head coach in Labor Day Classics. But the Banjo Bowl and that chance for instant redemption is always so sweet, whether it's one way or the other. A chance for a sweep if Winnipeg can win in Regina, a chance for immediate payback if they do fall. But don't get fooled by a 5-5 Rough Riders team and a 9-2 incredibly strong Blue Bombers team. You never know what's going to happen, but when it does, we'll keep you covered here on Bonfire Sports.
Here's the thing, one last thought from my process here. Zach versus Dolegala. Zach doesn't have to do anything. He has so many weapons. Dolegala has to play the game of his life to beat the Bombers. He really does. Zach's got so many weapons, and he can get rid of the ball. He's so smart. Now you got him making his 3rd start, 2nd in a row in this season. When you look at that, man, you're almost thinking if you're a betting man, wow, can he replicate what he did in BC? Can he do that? 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. If he can, they got a chance. If he comes out and just craps the bed, I don't know who's their backup. Shea Patterson? Yeah, Shea Patterson. And they got Anthony Pipkin again, who's been around all over the place now. So, I mean, to me, when I look at the 2 quarterbacks, if I just put my crystal ball on that, I go, well, it's not even close. Zach versus Dolegala. So I don't know. So
and
it'll be interesting to see how they respond.
Yeah, Brady Oliveira, that calming presence, right? Like if things are getting a little bit shaky out there, just feed him the ball, and you're going to at least be physical, right? You're going to at least smack somebody in the mouth when he's carrying the football. But hey, Chris, like I will share with everybody else out there, have a great, safe, happy Labor Day long weekend. Travel safe, enjoy the game, and I think people will be pretty happy with however this game shakes out, because it's always wildly entertaining.
Yeah, I agree with you. I echo your thoughts there. Stay healthy, stay happy, enjoy family and friends, enjoy the beautiful weather we're being blessed with right now. I mean, it's September already, and we're getting like July weather. So, you know what, enjoy this for as long as we get, and enjoy the football game, because I think it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. Chris, every time we sign off, people always say, I love it when Chris cheers the team a little bit. It gets me jacked. So I'll leave that to you before we sign off.
Well, I'll just say this. The Bombers are good. They're going to kick ass tomorrow, because why? I'll tell you why. Too much damn talent. Dolegala, I'm pumping you up, buddy, but I think you're tired with a leak. We're going to see what happens. Go Bombers. That's what's happening, brother.